Good morning. Today I'd like to talk to you about the fashion industry and whether it's promoting the idea of perfection or not. Fashion is probably one of the most influential aspects of popular culture nowadays, and with the increased use of social media, there is more and more presence of fashion within our society. People can spend hours and hours looking through fashion blogs, social media accounts, looking at their favourite fashion icons. Personally, I could spend hours and hours scrolling through Instagram accounts and blogs and researching different items on online retailers. However, how many of us can admit that when we find items of clothing which we've seen on these fashion icons, do we then feel unsatisfied with the way that we look? Do we feel frumpy, or do we feel that we're just not looking how we like to look? Today I'd like to talk about three aspects of the fashion industry and of popular culture, and why I believe that the fashion industry is promoting the idea of perfection. Firstly, I'd like to talk about models and the effect that they have on the way that we perceive ourselves. Next, I'd like to talk about one of the latest fads, which is health and fitness, and the way that that's affecting young people. And finally, I'd like to talk about what beauty is exactly, and how as a society we define beauty these days. Firstly, I'd like to talk about models, and specifically I'd like to give the example of Kate Moss, who is undoubtedly one of the most influential fashion icons and models of the current decades. She famously said that nothing tastes as good as being skinny feels. As arguably one of the most influential models and fashionistas of the British fashion industry, Kate Moss faced huge backlash after making this comment, where she claimed that it was one of her life mottos. It wasn't just people outside of the fashion industry, but specifically people within the fashion industry who didn't agree with the way that she was promoting eating disorders and also the way that she was perceiving fashion to be. This leads on to my next point about health obsessions and fitness. It's become increasingly popular over the last few years, and we've seen the influence of fad diets, but also the promotion of sportswear, gym memberships, and we've become a society obsessed with health and fitness. One of the most damaging things that has come out of this new health obsession is diets and healthy eating, where we can see young people eliminating food groups from their diets and replacing them with healthy alternatives. Currently we're seeing an increase in the influence of things like making courgette into spaghetti and cauliflower into rice to replace the carbohydrates that we would normally have in a daily meal. While the promotion of healthy eating is important, these fad diets are verging on unhealthy, as young people are damaging their bodies by depriving themselves of key nutrients. Another example is of young men who are obsessed with the idea of building muscle and increasing the amount of protein that they're eating every day. And this is not only having an effect on their health, but also, more importantly, their digestive system, which can't cope with the amount of protein that they're injecting into their body through eating more meat, but also taking protein supplements. Finally, I'd like to talk about beauty and how we define beauty. We're a society which is becoming increasingly self-obsessed, and we're striving to be the most beautiful and perfect that we can be. But it's not just the fashion industry that is promoting this, but we're doing it ourselves. The issue that we see at the moment is the way that we define beauty. We don't just define it by one thing, we define it by many. We define it by height, size, hair colour, eye colour, skin colour. And it's not just one of those aspects that make up someone who's beautiful. It's having all of them with having every single one of those aspects that makes someone beautiful. And the list is endless. Therefore, the pressure to fit and categorise ourselves into one of those aspects is what's causing the issue. In conclusion, I'd like to say that while the fashion industry is continuously growing and it's continuously influential on our lives. It's not just the fashion industry which is promoting this idea of perfection. We ourselves are creating a vicious cycle whereby we're increasing more and more things into this idea of perfection through being fit and healthy, eating the right things, wearing the right clothes, looking the right way. And it's increasingly having an effect on the younger generation. We can see younger people becoming more and more preoccupied with the way that we look, and we need to find a way to overcome these issues that we see today in society. Thank you.